Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. I'm now joined by Indiana Jones, and it is time for another round 2 matchup. Lee, we've got Tobie and Steven. The U of L basketball team has had a lot of sanctions as there was a sex scandal, prostitutes in the dormitory. Here's my question. Rick Pitino has kept his job. If it were up to you, do you think he should be fired for this sex scandal? Let's go with you, Steven.
Yes. I think he probably knew what was going on. I was not invited to the parties, so something should be done.
I'm just up in the air about this one. I have a lot of respect for the way that he does coach. However, what I'm concerned about is who brought the prostitutes in the first place? I mean, why aren't we looking at them? Why are we just blaming coach? How come you didn't know? I mean, who's providing the girls? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it was the assistant coach. So shouldn't you blame the head coach if it was the assistant coach?
He knew what was going on. The head coach had to know what was going on. The chief knows what's going on with his Indians.
We are assuming. You are assuming, though.
Well, I'm assuming, yes, but, that's, what you make of yourself. But I think he did know. He had to know something was going on. He must have smelled something, Victoria's Secret cologne. Something was coming out of there.
Okay, but if he really was guilty, then maybe he should have his head on a chopping block. However, there are other things that I need to explore first. That's all I'm saying.
This Victoria's Secret cologne.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that's about. So I have some strikes on both of you because I think you both have potential, but you both got things to work on. First of all, let's start with you. Steven, you can't stand there with your hands in your pants. I mean, no, I'm serious. Like, you got to have, I'm not saying you got to be like me and you got to talk with your hands, but you stand there with your hands in your pockets. That's not like a look for that you want to have. Second, I asked you the question about U of L, and you answered like 4 seconds, which I've had co-hosts do that, and it makes you like, you were like, I think he knew, bam. Well, you got to be longer than that. Okay. You were funny. I like you're funny, but don't like be to where everything's a big joke. Right, but I did think you were funny. Now, Tobie, my issue with you was you kept talking. Sometimes you didn't have anything else to say, and I could see you like trying to searching for words, maybe when you didn't have a word at the point. And sometimes you just got to know when to talk. I did like when you two debated. I wish I could have gotten you two going at each other more because I liked it. But this one's really tough for me. Luckily, I don't have to decide. Indiana Jones, which one moves to the next round?
Actually, I think I'm going to go with Tobie.
Another second round matchup in the Hey Kentucky casting call. Chris Tomlin joining me, and we have two fine folks in the second round, Kendall and Larry. We begin with Governor Matt Bevin. Recently announced his plan for fixing violence in the west end of Louisville. He suggested that he believed the way to solve the problem was for people to walk the streets of Louisville and adopt streets and to increase prayer on that side of town. Kendall, do you believe that's the way to fix violence in West Louisville?
No, I don't think it's the way. And honestly, I think that's what he said because he didn't know what to say. I think what he should have did was reach out to the community. He should have said, I don't know what we can do about this violence, so I need to go to the West End and figure out what we can do. We all need to come together, figure out what we can do so we can make our streets better because he knows the streets are bad, so why would you tell people to walk them? They don't want to walk them. The streets are bad.
It is ridiculous. I'm telling you, the guy has no idea what's going on. And I love people to pray. I think praying is great, but it doesn't help fix the problem.
No.
He could come up with some ideas that make sense, whether it's patrols, having extra people from human services, something like that makes sense. But Bevin, again, dropped the ball.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. Kendall, he did say he'd like people from other ends of town to come to the west end of Louisville. Isn't part of the problem that most of the rest of the city never goes to the west end? Isn't there at least some positivity from that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely think that. But he should be one of those people, too.
The one and done rule is something everybody talks about across the nation. Do you believe the college basketball system should be one and done, two and done, none and done? What would you do if you were commissioner?
If I were the commissioner, I would do the two and done. I wish that they would do that because, number one, we'd get to keep these guys a couple of years, which would be better. But I think that they do, if they're going to go to school, 2 years is a better thing. Now, I will tell you that from a player's perspective, they probably would rather have the option to go straight out of school or out of high school into the NBA. But I like to see it personally 2 years, and that's selfish.
Yeah, I'd like to see 2 years too, personally, just because I think it would make the NBA better too. Because I think we get people could have like longer little shots of fame instead of waiting for the new talent every year. You know, it kind of gets outweighed. But at the same time, thinking of as a student, if he's professionally ready to go make that money out of high school, go do it.
Solid answers. However, I do feel like in this show right now, we have a lot of people who can talk about sports. I feel like these days especially, issues and political topics are kind of the order of the day, and we could always use a little bit more on that end. So I'm sorry, Larry, on this one I'm going to go with Kendall.